and one of the stab wounds perforated his pericardium. His heart stopped in the ambulance, but they managed to revive him. Besides the knife, a blunt instrument was used, maybe a metal pipe.
So we have the victim's identity?
Petri Ilveskivi, born April 1962. He's a furniture designer, and he's also on the city council.
That's why the name is familiar. He's openly gay, too, if I remember right.
Koivu nodded. No criminal record himself, but some skinheads attacked him and his boyfriend just before the last elections.
I vaguely remembered the incident, but I had been on maternity leave at the time. Ilveskivi and his partner had had their arms around each other on a bus late one night, which apparently irritated a gang of skinheads so much that they got off at the same stop and beat both men.
"This is going to be a big case," Koivu said. "Forensics is on the scene, and Anu and Pustyarvi are interviewing the jogger who found him. Lahde and Mela are canvassing houses around the area until 9. The place is a little out of the way, and a whole pack of elephants went through the crime scene before we got it cordoned off. The paramedics thought reviving him was more important than preserving evidence."
Was Ilveskivi robbed?
His wallet with cash and cards was still in his jacket pocket. There was also a briefcase by his bicycle.
Strange. Did that earlier attack result in any convictions?
All of them got fines, and the leader of the group was already on parole, so he ended up finishing his sentence in the slammer. He's been out for a little over a year. I've already asked patrol to bring him in first thing tomorrow. Aya is pulling together everything she can find on Ilveskivi.
At Christmas, there was an article in Z magazine about how Ilveskivi and his partner were celebrating the holidays.
"How do you remember things like that?"
Koivu asked. Occupational hazard, I said with a laugh. Having a good memory for names had served me well in all sorts of investigations, and I tried to keep it up. Koivu's phone rang.
"Koivu."
Pause.
"Oh, hi."
Based on Koivu's tone of voice, I could tell the caller was Senior Officer Anu Wang, our unit's other female detective, and Koivu's girlfriend.
"Motorcycle? Harley or Roadster?" "Okay. Ask them to come to the station tomorrow to look at pictures. At Yorvi with Maria."
Koivu hung up the phone.
"Anu and Pustyarvi found a dog walker who claims to have been surprised by a motorcycle speeding on the walking path a little after 5. No motor vehicles are allowed, and she tried to get the license plate number, but apparently something was smeared over it."
He paused.
"Let's find the nurse who called about Ilveskivi."
We set off for the surgical ward. The waiting room there was empty, except for a heavy-set man hunched over in the corner with his face buried in his hands. "I'm guessing that's Tomi Lehtolainen. I'll go talk to him. Come back here once you've spoken with the staff," I said, and then walked over to the man sitting in the corner. He was wearing light khaki trousers and a dark blue corduroy jacket. His brown loafers were carefully polished, and his sandy brown hair was thinning on top. "Tomi Lehtolainen? Detective Maria Kallio, Espoo Police. Are you up for answering a few questions?" A few seconds passed.
"Not now,"
Lehtolainen finally said without moving his hands from his face. I sat down across from him. I had done this before. Conducting an interview under the circumstances would have been cruel, but I knew that Lehtolainen might need someone he could talk to. "Do you want me to call a friend or a relative?" I asked, but Lehtolainen didn't seem to hear me. So we just sat, Lehtolainen with his head between his hands, me thinking about the story from Z. I recalled that Ilveskivi and Lehtolainen had been together for 15 years and engaged for the past 10. The couple dreamed of having a child. Lehtolainen, who was around 40 years old, was a kindergarten teacher. In the magazine photo, he had looked like exactly the kind of jolly rogue kids love, but now all I saw was his thinning hair. His hands were broad, and the onyx stone on his engagement ring didn't look out of proportion, despite being quite large. The round eyeglasses sitting on the bench must have been his. We sat in silence for 5 minutes. Then the door opened, and Koivu marched in with 2 men in surgical gowns. When I met Koivu's eyes, his face was set, and he shook his head.
"Mr. Lehtolainen,"
the older of the doctors said once they reached us,
"I'm sorry to have to inform you that Petri